Hey everybody, this is Bailey
and Mandy,
and we are coming to you with our very first ever podcast. It does not have a name yet, unless you have one, Mandy.
No, it will come to us.
Yeah. Well, we are currently somewhere in eastern Colorado, and if you've never been on I-70 in eastern Colorado, there isn't much to do. So we decided we would entertain ourselves by creating this podcast. But first, Mandy's going to tell you a little bit about the history of Bailey and Mandy.
Yes, so it all began on a dark and stormy night.
Was it?
No, it wasn't at all. It was an afternoon, I think.
Yes, it was.
And it was rush week. And my mother, well, she wasn't my mother at the time. What do they call them?
Your big sis.
My big sis introduced me to Bailey because it was her mother.
For our reader, or for our listeners who are not readers, that don't know about Greek life, there's like this family tree. Your mother is obviously not your birth mother or anything like it. It's like a girl a year older than you.
Exactly. And she said, it was pref night, and she said, oh, my mother's going to be singing this song. And Bailey came out with this voice of an angel.
That would have been it.
And I was like, this is love at first sight. That's my G-Ma.
And Mandy was like, I have to join this house. I'll kill myself.
And I did. Then I don't know what happened after that.
Then you did WRL.
Oh, true. Then we danced together.
We were on the Theta dance team, essentially. So, yeah, Mandy was drawn to me through performing arts.
Yes.
It's like
I still am.
one half talent that I have.
I like to request Christmas songs during the winter months, so Bailey will send me a Snapchat of her beautiful voice.
Oh, that's funny.
Got a gift.
So that's a little bit about us, but moving forward, the topic of this podcast is going to be on New Year's resolutions. You know, it's January, and a lot of people either made resolutions or they thought about it. I think everybody thinks of something, whether they do it or not, or whether they actually say it's an official resolution. When the calendar turns over from December to January, we all kind of say this is a chance for renewal, and we're going to do things a little better, tweak ourselves. So that's going to be the topic for this podcast. And we also want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors, Bowercom, Hala Inc., and Vagisil. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with the start of our podcast. Bailey and Mandy's podcast is sponsored by Bowercom, where we ask you to think of your marketing plan as a road trip. Without a map and a plan, you may end up at the gas station 20 minutes from your home, eating a lukewarm ham sandwich and dreaming of the elusive destination you were hoping to reach. Bowercom can be your GPS. As a strategic marketing agency that knows the back roads of brand engagement, lead generation, and customer relationships, and everything in between, we'll help you map out a journey to guests so you can invest wisely and get where you want to be. Visit them online at bowercom.com. All right, we're back. And the first segment that we want to do here is to give you a little bit of background and history on New Year's resolutions, our topic for the day. And we had invited a guest speaker to participate, future Dr. Ryan Deal. I say future doctor because he's working on his PhD as we speak. But he is very, very into New Year's resolutions, and I'd reached out to him about being a guest on our show, and his response after my asking and explaining what we're doing was, "You make me smile." And I'm not really sure what to do with that information. Mandy, what do you think? Is that like a kind rejection?
I think it might be.
I mean, I don't get offended that easily. He could have just said no. I'm calling you out on the carpet, future Dr. Ryan Deal.
He's just so nice, though. He probably just didn't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, well, I'm not offended at no. I am offended at you make me smile. That is just ridiculous. You make me smile. I don't understand. I wasn't trying to be funny. This is a very serious question. I needed a guest for our podcast.
Maybe he was trying to say he feels flattered, but he would not like to participate.
You're probably right. Anyway, you're forgiven, Ryan Deal. I am going to send this to you and let you know that I'm shaming you slightly for your response. But in the end, all is well, and I love you.
And on our website, we'll list your blog, so
that's a good
people
point.
can come and read all of your history
It's
and your
curiouskansan.wordpress.com, I believe.
Yeah,
And
try that out.
Ryan writes a lot about New Year's resolutions, and Ryan's actually taken a different approach to New Year's resolutions where he tries something really challenging but only for a month, and then he changes it month by month. So it's an interesting
cool.
take. We can talk about that more as we get into that segment. But so for a little bit about the history of New Year's resolutions, Mandy and I ended up having to do the research on our own since Ryan wouldn't participate. And we found out that actually the ancient Babylonians were the first people to make New Year's resolutions, and that was about 4,000 years ago. So 2,000 years before Christ.
Right.
For some historical perspective.
A lot farther back than I would have guessed.
Yeah, definitely. And the interesting thing about their resolutions, they were actually making resolutions to their pagan gods, and their new year was in March at the time because it was when they were planting their fields. And they had like this 12-day massive celebration, and basically they promised to the gods that they would pay their debts and return any objects that they had borrowed. So similar to what we do, but a little different. Mm-hmm. And then as time went on, and we're in Rome in the Julius Caesar era, they moved the calendar to January 1st. So we're working off that calendar obviously still today, and that happened in 46 BC. And January was actually named at that time for Janus, who was the two-faced god whose spirit inhabited doorways and arches. And it's symbolic because Janus is believed to symbolically look backwards into the previous year and ahead to the future. And the Romans, for their New Year's resolutions, they were offering sacrifices to the deity and made promises of good conduct, for the coming year. So again, a little bit of evolution.
Yeah, so now we just make it towards ourselves.
Yeah, that's right.
Our deities.
So, and then it also notes, I'm getting this article from history.com, historychannel.com, and it talks about, Christians in the 1700s, actually the founder of the Methodist Church started making the New Year's resolutions more mainstream in Protestant churches. And then from there, it evolved to like what you were talking about, Mandy, where, modern day, we talk about self-improvement for most of ours.
So not as religious.
Yeah, exactly. So the difference of the people that kind of started this all, no matter which god it was, they were making those promises to God or gods or, whomever. Mm-hmm. So ours are a lot more focused on ourselves, which, it's a sign of the times, right? So also thinking about history of resolutions, recent research that shows that 45% of Americans actually say they make a New Year's resolution. Do you think that's high or low?
I was thinking it was kind of low, but I think I surround myself with people that love New Year's resolutions, so my data is a bit skewed.
Yeah, that could be. But also, like I was saying in the first segment, I think that some people might make a promise to themselves at the New Year and then not really express it as a resolution.
Right. Their fear of failure. If they say it out loud and then they don't make that resolution, maybe they're scared of failing.
I think that skews the data just a little bit too.
That's true.
The other thing that it says is that only 8% of people are actually successful in completing their goals. And we're going to talk about our 2017 goals right when we get back from this word from our sponsors.
Bailey and Mandy's podcast is brought to you by Holla Inc. Visit us at our website at HOLLAINC.com. Holla!
Okay, we're back and ready to talk about the part you've all been waiting for since we started this, which is 2017 resolutions and how they went. So Mandy, let's check in with you first. What was your 2017 resolution or resolutions?
I started with 32 New Year's resolutions.
Holy cow.
Yes.
32. I didn't even know that you had that many.
I will show you. I actually have a book because every year I really enjoy getting a new calendar, filling it out for the whole year, and then coming up with like a bucket list of sorts, which is technically my resolutions, I guess.
Yeah.
So I came up with 32, and they were things like go to a rodeo, or go skiing, or financial, like I broke it down with health, finance, different things like that. But my overall, so then I kind of evolved it into one overall goal, which is to work out. Because as you know, I got married in July, and my goal was just to be at a healthy fitness level. I wasn't like, I want to be this many pounds or this body size, but I just wanted to set a goal for fitness.
Yeah, that's good.
So during the year, I was like at least 3 times a week, and then when I was off in the summer, I wanted to go twice a day so that I could see other people instead of staying at home.
So do you feel like your bucket list style resolution, I mean, does that work well for you? Have you been able to like keep up with all those?
Yes, but that I think is because I am an upholder.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, please reference the Happier podcast with Gretchen Rubin and Elizabeth Kraft. Take the Happier Tendency test, see what you are. But upholders tend to like to check things off lists. So for me, I get a lot of joy going through my list and saying, oh, I want to do this week, and then scheduling it. Like one thing was I want to go snowmobiling in Colorado. And so I told Lance that, and we're going to Colorado right now. I was like, maybe that's something I can do, and then I can check it off my list. So I really enjoy it. And for the most part, I meet all of those. And if I don't, I carry it over to the next year.
Tell us a little bit more about the other tendencies.
Oh, yes. So there are questioners, which is what Bailey is.
She's going back referring to the Happier podcast for tendencies.
Yes. So we have upholder, questioner, rebel, and obliger. And so it's all based on how people meet expectations. So it's completely, all of the personality tests can be combined together, but this one is mostly just on how you meet expectations. Upholders will meet them if they set them, but they also meet them if other people hold them accountable. So for example, if they set a New Year's resolution, they will most likely meet all of those. And then if someone else asks them to do something like, hey, come work out with me, they feel like they need to also meet that expectation. Questioners will meet it if it makes sense. So they are always asking questions like, well, why do you do it this way? And it's not to question authority or that they don't think that it's right. They just want to know why.
That's
and
me.
Then, yes, this
I
is
can't
Bailey.
do it if it doesn't make sense.
But once they know that, then they'll meet it. If they think that if it's sufficient and they think that it's worth their time, they'll meet it.
That's right.
And then we have, and that's also what Lance is, and Casey
is an upholder.
So then we have obliger, and obligers have trouble meeting their own expectations, but they'll meet almost any expectation that someone sets for them. So they're kind of like the people pleasers, and there are a lot of obligers. There are mostly obligers and I think questioners, fewer upholders.
Really? I thought I was a rare breed.
Well, yes, you are a rare breed. And then the last one's kind of the rarest one, but those are rebels, where they don't like to hold themselves accountable.
And they don't like anyone to hold them accountable, themselves or otherwise.
So those are usually entrepreneurs, because they can kind of set their own schedule, but they need someone in their life that is an obliger or a questioner to kind of hold them accountable so that they're just not doing what they want to do all the time.
It would be, I mean, it's not like there's some national statistic about what people who are doing resolutions are as far as tendencies, but it would be interesting to know if upholders are able to complete New Year's resolutions more successful than, say, rebels. I'm sure that is true.
Right. And actually, a lot of questioners question New Year's resolutions. Like they're kind of, some, not that Bailey questions, but some say, well, why does it have to be in January? Why can't you just make a goal and do it anytime throughout the year?
Yeah.
Does that seem like something you would, or do you
Yeah,
think?
I can hear myself saying that for sure. I mean, But sometimes I feel like that would be in defense of whatever I was doing at the particular time. I like New Year's resolutions. I'm not probably as big into them as you are, or like my friend Ryan that we referenced. But it is kind of an opportunity for a fresh start and a clean slate, and that makes sense to me.
Right.
And that makes me kind of think, okay, it's time to take stock. And the other thing about January is you're kind of through that holiday period where your life is just kind of off kilter because you've got various events going on, you're eating poorly, your schedule is out of whack. So the things that you're doing in December and maybe even half of November aren't really a good reference point for you throughout the entire year. And January is a good time to reset.
True. And with anything, it's always good to reflect. Even like in your job, like for teaching, for example, if I do a lesson, it's always good to say, well, that kind of didn't go the way I thought it was going to go, and just reflect and think, what could I change? So anytime that you can do that, I feel like it's going to make you a better person.
Yeah.
But I did not technically meet my goal, my fitness goal, because I got married in July, and then I was kind of like, well, check, that's done, and I stopped working out. So, but Bailey and I were talking, and we were saying how, you know, if you set a goal in January, what if you do change throughout the year? Is it still okay to change that goal into, you know, change it to something that is important to you and that makes sense? And so we kind of decided that yes, that's okay to do that.
Yeah, because really, like we were talking about, it's a good time to reset. Every time you turn the calendar to a new month, that can be a good time to reset, or even the week or the day. So setting goals can come at any time. I mean, it won't technically go under the classification resolution.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have merit.
Correct. So let's hear yours.
Okay, so my 2017 resolution was to not purchase any clothing.
Oh my goodness.
And I want to set that up by saying I don't think that I was like a huge shopper. I really hate shopping, to be honest. I don't like being in the store. I don't like trying stuff on. I am not like a collector of clothes. I had previously limited myself to only 60 hangers, and I don't even have a dresser. So I am very minimalistic when it comes to clothing. But I kind of told myself, after hearing some things about just how clothing is one of our biggest forms of trash in the U.S. because we buy cheap clothing, we wear it a couple of times, and then we dispose of it. And I'd always kind of had this philosophy with myself that I had to be able to get the cost per wear down to $1. So I could buy a $100 something, but I had to be able to wear it 100 times. Or I could buy a $10 something and have to wear it 10 times. So I'd always kind of had, I felt like, a good head on my shoulders when it came to purchasing clothing. But there just came a point where I thought, I'm spending frivolously buying things that I don't necessarily need, because sometimes it's just easier to think, I'm just going to go get a new outfit for a party or an event, than it is to say, what can I put together that I already have, or what can I borrow from a friend? And so it was actually a really good resolution. And when I talked to people about it, they were always really taken aback, like, oh, how can you do that?
Right.
And I did make it the whole year with a couple of very small exceptions. So when it came to like events like Mandy's wedding, I went and got a dress that my mom was going to garage sale for me like several years ago, because Mandy's wedding colors were navy, and so I wanted something kind of in the blue family. I was like, there's surely something, and there was, and it was fine. And I wouldn't say I was the best dressed person at the wedding by any means, but it served its purpose.
Yeah, it was
and
perfect.
It cost me nothing, and I felt less wasteful that I was using it. So things like that happened, and I felt like I had to be more creative in my day-to-day getting dressed, because I got tired of my clothes. That was another problem that I faced with it. My small exceptions were that I went to Colorado last March to visit my friend Jessie, and she worked at a place at the time called Rocky Mountain Underground, and they do custom skis. And they had a sweatshirt, and I just really wanted the sweatshirt because I was looking at it more as a souvenir, and I got it with her employee discount. So it was not very much money. But I did technically break it then. And then I buy a K-State shirt at the beginning of every season, and I did go ahead and stick with that tradition. So those were very minor, and I'm really not holding a lot of guilt. I still tell people that I completed it because I did.
You did, yes.
And then, so New Year's Day 2018, like one thing that you don't think about is like just your basics. So your bras, your underwear, your socks, those kinds of things. And you're like, by the end of the year, you're just dying for new ones. So that's what I did on New Year's Day, is go shopping for all those basics. And I got some new workout clothes too. So I haven't gone too insane yet with my purchases. I don't want to get crazy. I kind of like where I'm at, but I also don't want to, be Miss Frumpy in the clothing department either. So there's a balance. But yeah, I'm really proud of myself.
Yeah, you should be. That is a tough goal, and it's inspiring because now that we're moving to like a 700 square foot apartment, I've had to rethink, well, do I need all of these clothes? So it is inspiring to know that you did that and something. And then it also brings up, so do you think that you're more of an abstainer than a moderator? So this is also from Gretchen Rubin.
For sure. Like, the thing with me is I have to be all or nothing. Like, I feel like I'm a binge eater, closet binge eater. So it's like, if there's cookies, I want 4 cookies.
So it's there, you're going to take it.
Or I tell myself, you cannot have cookies, and then I won't.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
That's the thing about dieting that I feel like is really hard for me. If I could just quit eating cold turkey, I would. The problem is, eating is life-sustaining. So it's like, if I was a smoker, I could see myself being one of those smokers that could quit cold turkey. But as an eater, I can't do that.
No.
So that's
please don't.
That's my problem. What are you in that regard?
I'm a moderator.
Yeah,
so
I
find that, like, for example, chocolate, if I were to say I cannot have any sweets, that is harder for me. If I can just have like a little piece, and I don't need to eat the whole bag, and I can just put it away in my lunchbox and eat a little bit the next day. If I were to do the opposite, that would not work out very well.
Yeah.
Plus, I would get hangry.
Yeah. Well, I've been trying, so everybody says, like, when you're dieting, don't deprive yourself. So I got this, like, big bag of M&Ms for Christmas, and I've been trying to just, like,
to moderate?
Take 10 a day. But honestly, that's hard, because it's like, I just want that whole bag. Right. So I'm just trying to keep my eyes on the prize, which is getting hotter.
Then you already are.
Yeah. Go from a 3 to a 4.
No.
2018 goals.
So in conclusion with this, we both technically met our goals in some way. For ourselves. We're happy about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But Mandy and I were talking, and beyond the goals that we kind of talked about publicly, we felt like we had some secret 2017 goals. And mine were that I kind of didn't advertise them. Like, when people were talking about resolutions, I openly shared that I wasn't purchasing any clothes. Or if the opportunity for purchasing clothes came up, I was like, can't not buy any clothes in 2017. So that was regularly discussed among my circle. The things that I didn't talk about that much were, number 1, flossing. I think I was just a little bit embarrassed that I've made it this long in life and hadn't taken up flossing as a habit. And I was always getting crap from my dental hygienist, and also my sister is a dental hygienist, and she just found the fact that I didn't floss daily disgusting. So I kind of like set that as a goal for myself, and I have been flossing, and I knew that my life had been transformed when I went on a trip and packed floss.
Nice.
I've never done that before. And now I'm to a place where it's like, if I don't floss, I do feel like something's missing. It's not as clean. So I appreciate flossing. The other thing that I did secretly in 2017 was I wanted to cuss more. And I know that I'm not cussing in this podcast because I just want it to be, PG for everybody.
Right.
But my boss shared this article with me that was in the New York Times that basically said that people who were more intelligent actually cursed more. And it seems a little counterintuitive because I think we think people who use bad language in their daily lives are somehow heathens and don't have the sense God gave a shoe and aren't smart enough to come up with a more refined word. But I kind of have enjoyed my year of cussing, and I will say that I don't just go to meetings and drop the F-bomb. I am private about who I do it with. I'm not going to cuss in front of my grandma, but anybody that I think they're not going to care, I just kind of let it fly, because I've kind of told myself, somewhere along the way, at one point it was just a word, and then somewhere along the way people were like, that's a bad word. And I just am like, I don't want society to tell me what words I can and can't use. I guess is what it is. I questioned the validity of curse words and if they were actually offensive. Now, what I would not use is like racial slurs. Like, I'm not down with that because that's hurtful, but it's not hurtful to say the S word.
Right, you're not cursing at somebody.
Right.
It's more of a situational thing.
It's more of just like an exclamation. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was my secret resolution. Did you feel like you had any?
I don't know. I may have had one.
One that maybe is still a secret?
I think it's still going to be a secret. Well,
okay.
Bailey knows, but I'm going to think about some of my other ones.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. Well, we're going to take one last sponsor break, and then we'll be back with our final segment, 2018 resolutions. Yeah.
Bailey and Mandy's podcast is brought to you by Vagisil.
Put a little vag in your sil. Vagisil. Welcome back, listeners. So now we want to talk to you a little bit about what our 2018 goals are, and we'd love to know what your 2018 goals are. If you want to leave comments below on the YouTube link, or just send us a text if you know us, we would love to hear from you. So, Mandy, you want to talk a little bit about what your plans are for 2018?
Sure. I decided to take a little tip, I guess, from Ryan, and I'm going to change it. I'm going to have a theme, and the theme is adventure. So Lance and I are going to spend the whole year just having the time of our lives, going on adventures, every weekend visiting a new place, going on a new hike, and thankfully we're moving to Colorado, so this will be a lot easier. We've kind of hit everywhere around Hutchinson and around Wichita, and so now that we have a new city, it will be really fun. And then I think what I'll do is every month change it, so have a new resolution for that month, a new theme for that month, but the whole overall goal will be adventure.
Yeah, my 2018 goal is a little similar to yours about adventure, but I don't know, at the end of 2017, I just was getting like cabin fever, and I just kept feeling this urge to travel, this urge to get out, this urge to move. I mean, I was just over it. And so to kind of feed my wanderlust, my 2018 resolution is that I'm going to leave this state once a month. And so this trip to Colorado is a little bit playing into that. I don't have February scheduled. I was going to go to Arizona, but that got changed. And then I think I'm coming back to Colorado in March. I'm going to Michigan in April so far. And then I know I have to come back to Colorado for a wedding in the summer. So I've got some months to fill in. I can always just do a quick road trip down to my grandma's to swing by Oklahoma. So that would count. But I felt like if I set that goal of once a month leaving the state, that it would kind of force me to travel a little bit. Obviously, this summer I'll probably go to a Royals game. That's in Missouri. I want to go to Table Rock. I always love going there. So, there's just excuses to leave the state. I might leave the state 12 times a year anyway. I don't know. I've never really figured it up. But I think the worst thing ever is when you don't have a trip scheduled.
Right.
I love having a trip on the calendar to look forward to.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
So that's going to be it for 2018. I can't share my 2018 secret resolution. Yeah,
no,
maybe at the end of the year I can.
Yes, we'll do another podcast.
But for now, it's private because, A number
secret.
It's a secret. It's a secret resolution.
So if you live out of state, you should hit Bailey up and say, come stay with me.
PaulaInc.com.
That's right. Or pick a place, a destination, have a reunion or something like that to help Bailey meet her goal.
Yeah. Meet me anywhere. It's going down. Anywhere outside of Kansas. So, well, Mandy, our first podcast has been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun. Thank you for allowing me to be on this with you. It's always been a pleasure hanging out with you.
So we are probably about an hour from Denver now. So I'm going to spend a little time editing. We'll post it, and we'll look forward to hearing about your 2018 resolutions and your 2017 successes and failures, friends. So thanks so much, and we'll maybe make another one of these at some point. Bye.
See you later.
This podcast has been brought to you by Bowercom, Paula Inc., and Vagisil. If you'd like to talk about this podcast on social media, please use the hashtag Bailey and Mandy's podcast, Road Trip to Colorado 2018 New Year's Resolution Edition.